Okay, let me record. All right, family, let's get started. Thank you for staying. We're going to send out a copy of the video to everybody. We're going to post a copy of the video on YouTube. We're going to post it on Facebook. So, Aquaba, thank everybody for joining us. All right, now let's start here. Thank you for pulling up the slideshow. All right, let's go to the next page. We're going to jump right into it. Let's just jump right into it. Okay, disclaimer. I'm starting off with the disclaimer. I'm letting you know that everything you hear is coming from me. This is my personal experience. This is from me being on the ground. This is things that I've done personally, my personal involvement. This does not necessarily reflect anybody from any African government, any of the organizations that I mentioned, any association that I mentioned. Disclaimer, 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 don't sue me, okay? I'm letting all y'all know right now that this is my opinions. This is my information that I've sourced from myself because I was there in person. This is also my expertise after having lived on the continent for 10 years and after having personally helped over 500 people get citizenship. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. This is our agenda for the day. We're going to talk about we're going to deal with, I want to introduce myself to you for those who may not know me. I want to talk about the purpose of this presentation. I want to talk a little bit about who is the diaspora. I want to delve a little bit into why dual citizenship in Africa. And then I'm going to talk about some citizenship in Sierra Leone, citizenship in Burkina Faso, and citizenship in Ghana. All right. Now, I've seen the chat. So I see that there are a number of people here who have gotten citizenship with me directly. Okay. There are a number of people here who I've personally walked through the citizenship process in Sierra Leone. All right. So the proof is in the pudding. Okay, let me talk a little bit about who I am. If you haven't been following me, if you're new to the journey that I've been on, that my family's been on, that my team has been on, let me just tell you a little bit about who I am. Next slide. Okay, I am an African born in America. All right. African born in America. I know there's rumors floating around that I was born in Nigeria. Black people in rumors, but we just talk about, we take anything and run with it. That's another reason why I'm doing this presentation. I was African born in America. I'm a proud graduate of CB Schools, Council of Independent Black Institutions. I'm the president and CEO of the Adinka Group. I'm the author of a Smart Ghana Repatriation Guide. I'm also the director of travel and African ancestry family reunions, which we'll talk about. I'm co-architect of Ghana's Year of Return. I got a book coming out later this year. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm in Coastal Heni, which is a development chief in a small but powerful village called Yame, which literally translates to God will provide in the Akwa Eastern region of Ghana. And I'm a past president of the African American Association of Ghana. Now, why am I telling you this? Right? It's a lot of things I've seen a lot of things on YouTube and Instagram. I've seen a lot of information out there. And, most of the information we get is in 60-second clips. All right. Is in 60-second clips. And that's to get you to click. That's to get the like. That's to monetize it. I mean, I need money too. But this is about real information. This is about real, truthful, factual, valid information about citizenship. Let's go to the next slide. And the reason why it was important for me to tell you who I am is because I wanted to let you know that it's coming from an authority. I wanted to let you know that it's definitely coming from an authority. And I wanted to let you know that I have the knowledge, information, and resources to do this presentation and give you factual information. This is not just about wasting your time or having you all listen to me because I like to hear myself talk. I mentioned that I'm an author of a Smart Ghana Repatriation Guide. Even if you're interested in moving to other African countries, I've heard from a number of people that this book has been useful to them. You can find the book on Amazon, and I just wanted to share that with you. I have a second edition coming out soon. One of the things about this book is that there are 110 dynamic QR codes throughout the book. This prevented me from having to write such a voluminous book because there's so much about moving to Africa that you really can't fit it all in 240 pages, right? You can't fit all of it in there, but each chapter has QR codes interspersed throughout so that if you wanted to delve deeper into a particular subject, you can. Please support me. Get this book on Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon and search for a Smart Ghana Repatriation Guide, and it'll come up. Next slide. Let's go. Okay, what is the purpose of this presentation? Now, for those of you who know me, you know I keep it a buck, all right? The 100% purpose of this presentation is for me to keep it a buck with you, for me to keep it 100% with you, because there's so much information about African citizenship flowing around. I had somebody show up in Ghana like, dog, I'm in Ghana. Can I get my citizenship before I leave in 2 weeks? And I want to prevent people from showing up on the continent. I want to prevent people from sharing other bad information that they may have received. And I want to make sure that they know that there is a resource where you can go and get 100% correct information. So I definitely thank you guys for reading the book. I definitely just wanted to let you know that the whole purpose of this presentation is just to keep it a buck with you. All right. Hopefully you all can follow me as I delve in and out of slang and proper English. And I might even throw in some small African words, small, clack, 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 some treat inside so that y'all know I'm a full 100% African. Inside of my body, I done went from Negro to African in my 50 years. So I'm all of them put together. All right. What is the purpose of this presentation? I took this chart from the Journal of Science and Communication, right? And this is something that as we continue to seek sovereignty, as we continue to look towards the motherland, as we continue to make big life choices like moving to Africa, right? As we continue to do things like this, we really have to make sure that we're fact checking our information, and we really have to make sure that we're asking questions, right? So this, which is, and it's relevant because this particular chart came from factual information about the climate, right? About climate control, but it makes sense here. So what happens is when people have deficiencies in knowledge, right? Meaning you haven't done the research or you haven't made sure that the research that you've done is valid, right? People either have misinformation or people have no information. If you have deficiencies in knowledge, misinformation, or no information, what is that going to lead to? That's going to lead you to, you're going to confidently hold misinformation, and that's going to equal misperceptions, right? If you don't have no information, you can't confidently even hold misinformation, but you keep no information. Now, if you have knowledge and if you have correct information, you will confidently hold correct information and pass that on. All right. So the purpose of this presentation is to keep it a buck with you and to make sure that we know, because this is serious. For some of our lives, this is serious. There are people who are packing up, selling a house, car, moving to Africa, or people are really looking for citizenship. And in some ways, the way I like to say is I take reparations in every form. So in some ways, citizenship is your 40 acres in a mule, right? In some ways, the citizenship could be whatever it is. Next slide. I want us to understand misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, because we got to start checking each other. Misinformation is false info that spreads regardless of the intent. And that's all over social media, okay? That's all over social media. Disinformation is deliberately created to harm, manipulate, or mislead people. And we know that we have some people spreading misinformation and disinformation. Malinformation is based on fact but taken out of context to mislead, harm, or manipulate. Now, all three of these forms of wrong information are relevant to what we're talking about, because we know that there are sources out there, especially in the age of AI, who will provide malinformation and take it out of context. It's also important for us to keep this idea of citizenship. And it's also important for us to keep the things that we want within the context, right? So what is the context that we have to keep it in? Whether we like it or not, we are American citizens. Whether we were kidnapped 1,000 years ago, 407 years ago, you are a citizen of America. We do not have a single representative of all Black people to talk to other African presidents and governments to say, hey, I am here to negotiate on behalf of my people to help all melanin colored people get citizenship, right? We don't have that. So the person who negotiates on our behalf as American citizens, whether you like it or not, is the orange guy in the Oval Office right now. He's the one who negotiates. I see Bob shaking his head like he ain't negotiating for me. I see you, Bob. But whether you like it or not, he represents all Americans, right? So we are still American. I know y'all hate to hear this. But I got to keep it a buck with you. It's the fact. You got that blue passport. You are, whether you like it or not. And then there are going to be laws in our country that negotiates with other countries. There are some countries that do not recognize dual citizenship. There are places that you can go. There are places that you can't go. There are things that you can do and can't do, right? Because we are still American citizens here, although we are Africans trying to figure our way out, right? That's the conundrum of being the Negro. The conundrum of the Negro is something that has existed for 1,000 years. We're the only form of people who've been kidnapped from their original homeland, taken somewhere else, have grown, thrived, and survived to now still be this whole other race and group of people who are stuck between two worlds, okay? So because of that, we're going to attach ourselves to a lot of information. We're going to be pressed to click share. We're going to be pressed to make sure we tell other people, but we want to make sure that the information we're presenting is correct. Next slide. Another purpose of this presentation is encouragement, okay? I want to continue to encourage everyone. Who is interested in getting citizenship, who is interested in touching the motherland, to not give up hope, to continue to look for factual information. I want to encourage everybody to continue to look towards Africa if it's in your heart, right? So another purpose of this presentation is just 100% pure encouragement, right? We lift as we climb. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, let me explain something to you. Probably one of the weirdest things that have ever been said about me, around me, that I heard, which is probably also one of the greatest compliments that I've ever heard, is I was walking into an event one time and I heard somebody say, "Here comes the diaspora." And I thought, damn, I'm all of them by myself, right? What does that mean? The diaspora has become a buzzword. Everybody is looking for the diaspora now, right? So the diaspora is this hot new topic. It's almost a trend. I hate that it's a trend, but the diaspora is a trend. So when you walk in a room, I need somebody, one of y'all gonna do it. Somebody make a t-shirt that says, "I am the diaspora," and send me one. Okay, send me one with black lettering on a white t-shirt, and then send me one with orange lettering on a white t-shirt and a black t-shirt, and then send me a purple one with gold lettering. All right, thank you very much. Who is the diaspora? Why is this important? Because they're talking about us, but it's not just us. This is also going to be very important when we think and we talk about a future presentation that we're going to have when we mention about some of the solutions, and something that I'm going to mention here, right? In terms of African people wanting to come home. I want to keep everybody in focus. Root to the bros. Next slide. Okay, one, we are the historical diaspora. Who is the historical diaspora? The historical diaspora is this historically unique group of people who were kidnapped, stolen, taken from West, Central, East, North, South Africa, and somehow spread all around the United States, spread all around the globe. We are the historical diaspora. The historical diaspora are those of us Africans who live in America, born in America, whose families are from America, but who are of African descent. We are the victims, we are the results, however you want to say it, of the transatlantic slave trade. That's who the historical diaspora are. So if you're Black, if you're a Negro, if you know that you don't like your cornbread light skin, if you understand that You got to have greens. If you understand that black eyed peas is on your stove on New Year's Eve, all of these things, right? If somebody in your family named Barbara Jean, like all of these various things, you are of the historical diaspora. You know who you are. I know y'all laughing because I said light-skinned cornbread, but y'all know good and well that cornbread is supposed to have some color to it and some body to it, right? So we laugh at it in the shallow, but our food is a part of our culture and it's serious for us, right? The food get left on the table. We are the historical diaspora. So when you hear diaspora, and very soon as we continue to talk about it, when you're beginning to read diaspora, and you begin to read diaspora and see diaspora in a whole bunch of documents and advocacy documents, and when you see diaspora in reparations documents, make sure you ask which or who. This is not a conversation about the fact that the AU and African nations are now going after reparations. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. Whoever said they like their cornbread a little light, we about to kick you off the Zoom. Stay out the comments. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, next slide. Okay, and then you have the continental diaspora. Okay, this slide is brought to you by the African Center. And then you have the continental diaspora. The continental diaspora are voluntary migrants who left the continent of Africa at some point looking towards Europe or America for greener pastures, a better job, right? More money, right? So we know that Africans have moved. One, it's important to note that we know that Africans traveled the globe well before Columbus, and Africans traveled the globe well before the introduction of the Arab and well before the introduction of the Christian and the Islam, of the Arab slave trade and the Christian slave trade. So we know that Africans traveled the globe first, but that's not how we got here, right? We got here based on the chattel transatlantic slave trade that pushed us and carried us from the west coast of Africa all the way over to the Americas and Europe. Now we have another group of diasporans. This other group of diasporans that I'm talking about are the continental diasporans. These are Africans who went for greener pastures, whether they went by boat to Europe or whether they went by plane. I always like to say Black people in America are the boat Africans, and our continental brothers and sisters who came over for school and later are airplane Africans, right? We all the same thing, we just got here differently. So when you hear and when you see the diaspora, make sure you know the difference, because what's happening right now on the continent of Africa, what's happening right now with every African country being asked and mandated by the African Union to have an African diaspora engagement plan by 2030. When you review those engagement plans, what you got to look for and ask yourself is, who are they talking about? Are they talking about me, the historical diaspora, or are they talking about the continental diaspora, right? Those are the questions we have to ask. And it's our responsibility. I'm talking to the Negroes. It's our responsibility to ensure that we are included in the documents, that we are included in the reimagination, that we are included in the rebuilding of Africa as it is now through these diaspora engagement plans, through what's happening, through the fact that the diaspora is the buzzword, through the fact that in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more African countries offering citizenship. So it's up to us to ensure that we're educating ourselves and make sure that the diaspora is being defined, and to make sure that not only that the diaspora is being defined, but that there are special considerations made for us, because we're not all monolithic. And all of the diaspora is not the same. And there's a big difference between somebody who was brought to the United States 700 years ago as a victim of the transatlantic slave trade and somebody else who came over first class in 2023. But we're all diaspora, right? And it's not a us versus them. It's not, oh, you're taking care of them and not us. But it's important for us to know our differences. The only way we can fix ourselves, the only way we can understand each other, and the only way we can provide valuable solutions is if we understand who we are, we understand the differences. All right. So I wanted you guys to understand the diaspora. Next slide. Okay. So the reason why it's important to talk about who the diaspora is, because again, and I have a couple other presentations and I'm going to start doing more of these. It's my obligation okay? As one of the leaders here on the ground, as a son of the soil, as somebody who's committed their life to ensuring that African people can touch down on the continent, and as one of you who, as one of you who knows that you do not put sugar on grits, who lives on the African continent, right? I live here. As one of you, it's my responsibility and it's my obligation to make sure that I tell you the truth. It's my responsibility to make sure that I report to you, that I report back to you about what's really happening, right? Because again, all you see on YouTube, all you see on Instagram is Ghana's giving citizenship to African Americans. Come get yours. Burkina Faso is giving citizenship. Come get yours. Sierra Leone's giving citizenship. Come get yours. And some of us are really showing up to the continent without any information. Some of us are reading misinformation and disinformation and spreading it to other people. Why dual citizenship in Africa? Let's talk about this for a little while. Next slide. I'm running through this. I'm going to have to do this again. They got me a little flustered with the Zoom situation. YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook is off right now, but I'll post this. But I'm going to have another situation where we can talk about this. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so one, you should know is the root of a lot of this idea of African citizenship for the historical diaspora comes from elders that have been on the ground in Ghana for many years advocating for citizenship. It's important for me to say that. I'm here doing my part right now, right? But it's important for me to let you know that I don't believe it started with me, and it damn sure shouldn't end with me. So there are a number of people, Dr. Maulana, Rabbi Kohen, Mama Imakus. There are a number of people who have been here for 30, 40, 50 years advocating for this idea that, and I'll read what I have here. There is a belief and concept by many that all African people, the historical diaspora, should have a right to return to Africa, and that right should be solidified and codified with citizenship without barriers, hesitation, requirements, or application. So this idea of the right to return is that because we are children of Africa, because we are descendants of Africa, no matter how long ago, because we are descendants of Africa, we should have the right to return. And Ghana just happens to be the target of that right. Ghana is the target of that idea mainly because of several reasons. The Black Star and the Flag from the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Ghana's that reason because it's the first independent African country. Ghana's that reason because Kwame Nkrumah went to an HBCU and Kwame Nkrumah saw the benefit and the value of the diaspora, right? He invited members of the historical African diaspora to be a part of his cabinet. He got a lot of his ideas about Pan-Africanism from the historical diaspora that in Harlem, right, as well as in the UK. So many people believe that Ghana is the target of this idea of a right to return because of those reasons. Many people also believe that Ghana is that place because they've started it, they've done it in the year of return, okay? In the year of return. So people believe that the reason why, regardless of where you might have traced your ancestry to, Ghana should just give it up because they said it's the year of return. President, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo said, we're inviting all of our kith and kin home. They opened up the doors, year of return, come home. So because I told you to come home, I'm supposed to give you citizenship. Now, I'm just telling you what the thought is. I just want everybody to understand the thought about the right to return. Now, the next bullet is my opinion. The next one comes from my spirit and my heart. I believe that African people in America have been longing for so long to be wanted by a nation and to feel home and to have a place that's their own, that I fully understand people wanting dual citizenship. It's nostalgic, it's psychological, and it feels good to have an option. And really, because of the amount of what we've been through as a people, I personally believe that no one has to have a reason for why they want dual citizenship for anyone else other than themselves and their family. I believe you should at least know why, but I don't believe that your reason has to be for something specific, investment, this. Like, Black people have been through so much. Some of us don't even know why we want citizenship. It just feels good to say, I'm a part of an African nation. You can take a child from a mother almost at birth, and 35 to 40 years later, that child is still longing for their mother. How many children are adopted that some point in time realize that the family that I love, the family that raised me for 50 years, I love them to death. I love them to life, but I still know you not my mama. And I still want to find my mama. I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old, but I still need to find my mama because I can tell she's not with me. That umbilical cord that was connected to me, most of us forget that we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not human beings having a spiritual experience. So when you're born, you need to see your mother, your father. You need that feeling. It's them. So most people who want citizenship, people, we don't know why. What we do know is that for a long time, we've been kept away. For a long time, intentionally, most of us have been told lies. If we didn't learn it in college, or if our parents didn't, come tell us, we've been told lies about the continent. The popular media and other people have done everything in their power to keep African people away from the continent, while they are forcing their children to go to school for degrees, and right after school, the day after, they move them to the continent. They're doing everything they can to keep us away, and then everything they can in their power to get as many of them here. Why is that? You got to ask yourself. So what I'm saying is, I understand the right to return. Whether I agree with it fully or not, that's a little bit, I'm going to get into that a little bit. But what I do understand is the heart, the mind, and the spirit of a person of African descent who wants dual citizenship and may not know why. They may not know why. They may not have a good reason. It's just like, well, damn, I just want it. Like, shit, why not? You mean to Africa? Y'all remember what do you say? Keenan Ivory Wayne's movie. The motherland, Jasper, the promised land, Jasper. Minnesota? No, Jasper, the promised land, Jasper. Mississippi? No, Jasper, the promised land. Right? We just want to get there. We done marched, been bit by, we done been through a lot. So a lot of us just want it. So I wanted to say that there is no real reason in this whole process. However, if we care about Africa, though, then it will become important. We will make it intentional to move beyond the nostalgia. We will make it intentional to move beyond the feel-good movement of wanting dual citizenship just because, to actually wanting dual citizenship because there's something we want to contribute, there's something we want to do. Next slide. Now I'm going to go from this point to this point, just to let you know that I'm thinking of both sides. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said, I have no desire to take all Black people back to Africa. There are Blacks who are no good here and will likewise be no good there. So on one hand, while I understand the right to return, and while I understand the nostalgia, and while I understand that people want to get African citizenship to a country, and they don't care what country it is a lot of times, I'm going to tell you, wait till I talk about Burkina Faso. Half of y'all didn't even know where Burkina Faso was. Y'all didn't even know it was an African country. Y'all thought Burkina Faso was next to Tulum, Mexico. Half of y'all. Y'all thought Burkina Faso was next to Dominican Republic. You thought it was Punta Cana. Now, oh yeah, Burkina. Now, but at least you learn the African geography. At least we getting some of that in. My point about this here is this. It's important for us to start somewhere, that feeling. I want to be in Africa. I want to do business in Africa. I want to live in Africa. I want to rest in Africa. I want to breathe Africa. I just want to touchdown. I want to be in a majority. I want to see all Black faces on billboards. I want hashtag no more snow. Whatever the reason is for you wanting to be here, it's important for us to recognize that and start there. But now we got to move beyond that, because there are a lot of Black colonists here, and there are a lot of people who come here who are not contributing to the society here. They're not contributing to the communities here. And there are a lot of people who come here with the same extractive mentality that the colonists had. So it's important, and this is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is absolutely my opinion. All right. So let's move on. All right. Now I want to get into some of the details. You know, this is not going to be a super long Zoom call. Now, what do I mean by I've been on the ground? What do I mean by I've been a part of the process? Let's go back to the other slide before we show that one. So I have the wonderful pleasure and benefit of supporting my sister and champion, Dr. Gina Page of AfricanAncestry.com, who's been in the business of being Black for over 20 years. And in 2019, in 2019, we launched something called African Ancestry Family Reunions. And the idea was, once people take their ancestry, we're going to take them home to where they're from. We want to connect them to the various ethnic groups. We want to connect them to a home village. We want to figure out a way to build that bridge to get our people not only back to Africa, but specifically to where their DNA says that they're from. And as a part of that, we launched African Ancestry Family Reunions in 2019. Of course, we all know what happened in 2020. COVID hit, everything shut down. So, of course, travel had to wait. Now, we were contacted by the Sierra Leonean government, African Ancestry was, in late 2020, early 2021, because they were looking at a potential program that would allow people to get citizenship based on DNA. And they had done the research themselves about African Ancestry, knew that it was a Black-owned company, and knew that African Ancestry was the only company who could tell you modern day country as well as modern day ethnic group. So what happened? Next slide. I went to Sierra Leone myself. So I'm telling you from somebody who helped structure the program. This was in February, March 2021, January 2021. I went to Sierra Leone and I met with members of the Monuments and Relics team. Shouts out to my brother Francis, who I believe had a lot to do with the historical research and work behind this idea that the government of Sierra Leone felt like the greatest resource that they lost in the transatlantic slave trade were their people, not necessarily the resources that were extracted, but the people, right? Someone told my wife that African Americans they said, you all are our oldest ancestors. I want you to think about that. That you all are our oldest ancestors. African Americans are the oldest ancestors of African people, right? And the idea in Sierra Leone was that the greatest asset that we lost was our people. And we want to help bring our people back. So I went there. I met with the team at Monuments and Relics. I met with the then Minister of Tourism, Dr. Muminatu Pratt. Next slide. And we had a conversation about what that would look like. We had a conversation about what could happen. Now, what came out of that, wait, let me take 3 steps back. Because I got haters everywhere too. And I like to address my haters. I told somebody else, you know, when you was growing up, your parents said, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say it at all. And in 2025, my motto is, if you ain't got nothing good to say it anyway. All right. So for the haters, we know that we didn't start this. So we had a local tour company there. I forget this Bama name, but there's a local tour company there who started off and was able to get citizenship for a small group of people using African ancestry. So they used the African ancestry test and they were able to get some citizenship. We saw that some people were granted African ancestry tests. citizenship in Sierra Leone using African ancestry as the base. Now, why don't Black people work together? Why not call up African ancestry and say, yo, I got a lick for you. Yo, I got something we can do together. We can get citizenship using your test. How can I partner with you? How can we make sure we partner with you to certify these tests so it can get cleared, boom, boom, boom. But everybody don't think that way, right? Some of us is Bamas. So I went to Sierra Leone. I met with the team on behalf of Dr. Gina Page. We had a conversation around citizenship. Now, because African Ancestry owns a database and has direct contact with all of the people who've traced their ancestry to Sierra Leone, we said, hey, listen, we're going to help you promote this program across the board. We're going to help you promote this program across the board to everyone in the African Ancestry database who has traced their ancestry to Sierra Leone. I got a 50-page document of news articles that came out when we did it. And I got to say this because I can't stand Bamas and haters. You'll hear a lot of people talking about it. For example, the Bama Henry Louis Gates. I know some of y'all love him. All of those programs he did, you've never once heard him mention AfricanAncestry.com. But that's the test that he used. Why can't he say that? I'm telling y'all, listen, boy, 2025. Woo, I'm gonna have to do a Cat Williams interview this year before the end of March. I'm gonna have to set it off. So we went and had a conversation and said, hey, let's open it up to every single person. Let's open it up to every single person who's traced their ancestry to Sierra Leone from African ancestry. You don't have to pay us to do it because our goal is to help all our people get home. We've helped all our people connect to who they are. We've done that for 20-something years. Now we want to help all of our people get home to get this citizenship. So I went there, we had a meeting. The result was, let's go back to the next slide. The result was, boom, we have a program. So now AfricanAncestry.com becomes a path to Sierra Leone citizenship for Black people whose roots trace to the West African country. The way we were able to do that was there was a part of the Sierra Leone Citizenship Act that said, if you can prove your ancestry maternally or paternally, you are a citizen of Sierra Leone. And African ancestry is the only test that can do that. That was our end. That's the way we were able to do that. And again, our goal was to open it up for all people. Now, there has to be a business element. Black people, whether you like it or not, we are always going to be the grassroots stimulus package when we come to Africa. One, because of television, which is a misconception, but two, we're the only ones who care as much as we do. I promise you. We tip more than everybody else that visits Africa. The first thing we want to do when we come is help, right? Like it's in our heart because we've been longing to be there. So even though we get tired and say, oh, I'm not just a wallet, I'm not just a paycheck for Africa, but when you go there, you act like you are. And sometimes, even if you don't got it, you got it. Like, even if you don't got it, you got it. And y'all know what I mean. I'm not talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm talking about a $10 bill that could change somebody's life. Now, most of y'all never think that $10 can change your life, but $10 bills can change lives, let alone a 50 or 100. Sometimes it can feed somebody for a week or two. And we care enough to do it. That's why we do it. No one said you have to, but when we come, we care. Okay? When we come, we care. So a big part of us coming to African countries and in Sierra Leone, there has to be a business element. So naturally, now mind you, this is not legislative. I need us to understand something. These programs are not legislative. That means that there are champions on the ground who want to see this happen, and they figured out a way to loophole in the government something to make it happen for us to come in. So we got to give thanks to them. We got to be grateful for them. We got to be grateful for them. Thank you, Yakota. We got to be grateful for those people who champion, because we don't get citizenship as descendants of Africa without our brothers and sisters on the ground championing it and finding a way. So no matter what you say about them or who did or how, somebody had to open the door for it to happen. Most of us can't walk up to the president and have a conversation. I've been fortunate enough to do that personally, but most of us won't have that opportunity, not like one of his advisors, somebody who's championing the diaspora, for whatever reason that they might do it, the fact that they do it opens the doors. Okay, so we kick it off in April of 2021, and the agreement is that every April, every November, anybody who comes, you spend about 2 weeks in Sierra Leone, you have a citizenship engagement program, you have a naming ceremony, you learn about the history and the culture. At the end of the trip, you leave with your passport. Now, we have been successful. My record, our record, African ancestry's record in Sierra Leone is 6-1. That means for the past 3 years, we had a group go April 2021, November 2021, April 2022, November 2022, April 2023, November 2023. And all 6 of those groups, almost everybody that came with us, if they wanted it, and if they filled out the paperwork, they got citizenship. Now, we took 1 L this past November. And if any of those people on the call, I apologize. I know y'all still mad at me. I apologize, but we did our best. But what's coming up is you will be able to get it. You will be able to get it. So what I'm telling you is that I've personally walked, I see my people. I see all my people here who we spent time together in Sierra Leone, and they got their citizenship on this call, right? They got their passport. And I'm doing this because I need to let you know, sometimes we got a whole bunch of clickbait people. We got a whole bunch of Monday morning quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying, who wasn't there, who don't know. And they even cutting out most of the information because they know most of y'all not going to stay online this long. They're not going to read this long, and y'all not going to listen this much, okay? So for 3 good years, the program ran smooth. Now, for one reason or another, and I'm not going to get into that, the program took a break. Our Minister of Tourism, Dr. Muminatu Pratt, who championed the program, was no longer Minister of Tourism, and there was a new Minister of Tourism. I have not had the opportunity to meet the current and new Minister of Tourism of Sierra Leone, so I can't say anything about it. I don't know. I haven't had an opportunity to have a conversation with her. We've never had a conversation, right? But what I do know is that somewhere along the way in 2024, April and November took a break and they didn't do it. There was a pause. I'm not going to get too much into that right now, but I am going to talk a little bit more about unity later and some of the challenges we face with unity, jealousy, envy, and things like that. However, Sierra Leone is now back on the rise again. It's back on the rise again. And the program, as I understand it, rumor has it that the program is about to relaunch, but it's going to be a little bit differently. Let's go to the next slide. So, from April 2021 to the present, as I said, if you took your African ancestry test and it traced to Sierra Leone, you can get citizenship. All you had to do was travel in April or November. Now, it's my understanding that here are some of the changes to the program. I keep saying my understanding, even though I know some of the information I have is right, is because I'm a stickler for waiting. Anybody who's traveled to Sierra Leone with us, they know, they will tell you that I would always say, I'm waiting for the government to release the official notice. I want you to have the official notice. I want to be able to report to you what the official notice says, not what I heard in a meeting. Okay? So, I talked a little bit about the Citizenship Act and you proving your ancestry maternally or paternally. I talked about the fact that citizenship is connected to tourism and learning Sierra Leonean heritage. And I'm one of those people that don't necessarily think it should be free. Like, I don't want to get too much into my opinion about the right to return and whether or not we should just be able to go and get it. Because some of us get it and do nothing. Some of us get it and do something. But I also understand this nostalgia feeling about having it. However, we're going to get into that later. All AfricanAncestry.com family members who trace their ancestry to Sierra Leone are eligible for citizenship. I'm going to just take a pause for the calls and wave at y'all, turn on my camera. It's still me. I have not been replaced by an AI robot. This is me live and in the flesh in person talking to you. All right, just to let you know I'm a real person. All right. It's my understanding that the new rules for the Sierra Leone Citizenship Accession Program that should be out very soon, there are already a few tour companies promoting it, that the new rules will be released that will open up citizenship to all people of the African diaspora who have DNA tests that indicate Sierra Leone or a majority of West African DNA. So it's my understanding that the new program will not require it to specifically say Sierra Leone, because African Ancestry is the only one that says Sierra Leone. But it will say Sierra Leone or a majority of West African. And now you'll have to visit at least twice. So in the past, you can go one time and get it. Now you got to come back. So you got to take one trip to Sierra Leone. The trip has to be a minimum of about 14 days. You have to use a local certified tour company in order to travel to Sierra Leone. You still have to attend a citizenship engagement workshop. You still have to do the naming ceremony, visit Bunce Island, do some community service. So there's some activity involved. You got to pay these tour companies, which is not bad, because we definitely going to be doing trips too. And I can personally say I just think ours are the best because we have a really good time and we care. And we actually put a lot of thought and energy and effort into making sure our family members have a good time when they go home. So you'll have to go once, and then you'll have to return within a year. You'll have to return within a year for a shorter period of time. You won't have to do 14 days, maybe 7, 10, something like that. And then when you return the second time, you can get your citizenship. Now, what I did not do is include in this presentation, and I'm not going to go through the application packet. I'm not going to go through the application packet that says all of the things you have to have in your application packet. But what I haven't read, please wait until the memo is released to certify and clarify exact requirements. Please wait until the memo is released to certify and clarify the exact requirements. I'm going to say it again. Please wait until the memo is released to certify and clarify the exact requirements. That's how we took that 1L. From 2021 through 2023, all 6 times we did the citizenship, most of the times, the information had not been officially released, but we got the word by via person, via phone, and we said, okay, we're going to run with it. And we took them on their word that yes, it's going to happen. And we did that again, and it didn't happen. So we'll never do that again. All right? We'll never do that again. Okay, that's the information about Sierra Leone. Now, what I will say, and I think is important, is that, again, it's based on tourism, and the countries are looking for African people to invest. A part of the reason why citizenship is being given is because they want you to come home. Now, for some of us, I'm going to just tell you, Africa is good for some of us as a concept. But the reality of Africa, some of us ain't going to make it. Y'all might make it because y'all waited for me to get on this Zoom for 30 minutes. Maybe because y'all have experienced African Wi-Fi. So some of y'all have experienced African Wi-Fi. So you knew. All right, I'm back, y'all. Can y'all hear me? Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right. Apologize for that. Woo, they trying me today. They are trying me today. They're trying me today. They're trying me today. As African and as spiritual as I am, after this Zoom call, I'm gonna have to go get a shot of Jameson, Hennessy, or something that's un-African and unhealthy to help me through this night. So y'all could judge me all you want to. You know, African people would judge you, brother. You drinking Hennessy? Like, come on, man. You got on a whole Nike outfit. Like, I mean, like we pick and choose. Anyway, come on, y'all. Let's go to the next slide. I need something. To help me get through this. Okay. What I'm gonna Burkina Faso. I talked about Sierra Leone. I don't have a lot to say about Burkina Faso. I want to model, drink some old school Kool-Aid. I want to model what you should do when you don't have the correct information. Okay? If you have not been personally involved, send people to the source. What I do know is that Dr. Arikana, when she first went to Burkina Faso, again, it became, and we talking about becoming a Burkina Bay, it started with people who took their African ancestry tests and traced their ancestry to Burkina Faso. I've been to Burkina Faso. I've been to Ouagadougou and Bobo Jalasi. I understand what the country's like. I partied there. I celebrated a birthday there. Guess what, y'all? I had Hennessy in Burkina Faso too. Okay, why y'all judging me? So, what I would like for you to do, for those of you who are interested, go to ADDI, and that's ouraddi.org. I put the whole website there, but if you go to ouraddi.org and then look in the header, you'll see they got a menu item called Burkina Faso. Click on that Burkina Faso, and it's going to literally give you all of the information about citizenship in Burkina Faso. The application deadline is February 28th. So if somebody wants to get citizenship in Burkina Faso, then it's open for you to do so. I don't have a lot of comments about this. I don't have a lot of history about this because it's new. I've been following. I've been watching the same way you all have, but I haven't been personally involved in this process. Although I'm familiar to some of the back-end conversations with African ancestry, I haven't been personally involved. But what I do know is even when you go to this site and when you look, what it's going to say is we strongly suggest you get your AfricanAncestry.com test. That's what ADDI is going to say. I think we're starting to see a common theme and a common thread here, right? Across the board. Because there's some other programs that are coming up very soon for citizenship in some other countries because we traveling, we hitting the countries, we on the ground, we doing the work, and we bringing the real information back to our folks, okay? So for Burkina Faso, now let me say this though. What I think is really important about Burkina Faso is if you do not know anything about Burkina Faso, at a very minimum, do some research on Thomas Sankara. At a very minimum, do some research on Thomas Sankara. Do some research on the former revolutionary president of Burkina Faso who was assassinated terribly because he understood the same way this president understood the importance of that country being independent. Okay? So I want everybody, if you're interested, I know she made the announcement last year, but you know how we are. There's more. Oh, she made it last week. Okay, on the Zoom Live. I missed that Zoom on the 8th that she did. But go directly to the source. If anybody asks you about citizenship in Burkina Faso, send them to the source. Don't make something up. Now, if you're interested in citizenship in Burkina Faso, what you also want to make sure that you're following is what is the relationship between the Sahel states, that's the new trio of states, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. What is their relationship to ECOWAS? Because one of the biggest benefits of having a passport for one of those West African countries, like a Ghanaian passport or Nigerian passport, is that you have visa-free access to 15 countries in West Africa. But now that the Sahel states have pulled out of ECOWAS, you want to make sure you're following through your Google alerts or your searches in history, what is the relationship between the Sahel states and ECOWAS? If I get a Burkina Faso passport and I become a Burkina Bay, do I still have access to Ghana without a visa, or will I have to get a visa? Do I still have access to Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, some of these other places, or do I need to get a visa? Or a Sierra Leonean passport. Now, the thing about the Sierra Leonean passport, Sierra Leone is still an ECOWAS, but vice versa. Can your ECOWAS passport get you into the Sahel states? So you want to look at the visa laws and rules between the two. You want to look at the visa laws between the two, okay? So one of the benefits of having an ECOWAS passport, if you have a Sierra Leonean passport, if you have a Ghanaian passport, you will have access to all of the ECOWAS countries. I'm not going to list all of the ECOWAS countries. If you don't know, look them up. Just Google ECOWAS. ECOWAS. Okay? And you can find out, but you should do that research. And if you're interested in having African citizenship, you should be doing this research anyway. You should be doing this research anyway. But with an ECOWAS passport, you can travel to any other ECOWAS nation. So if you have a Sierra Leonean passport, which a lot of people in here do, you want to look up where can I get in, what place can I get in visa-free with my Sierra Leonean passport? Cameroon does not recognize dual citizenship. Nigeria does recognize dual citizenship. Something is coming down the pipeline for Nigeria. Some of y'all saw a video that was released on AfricanAncestry.com about our last trip. I'm not talking about Nigeria here because it ain't official yet, but it's coming. We working. I'm about to pop over there. I'm about to pop back over to Nigeria on that 45-minute flight from Ghana very soon to continue some of those meetings. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, now this is the one that everybody want to talk about. Now, why does everybody want Ghanaian citizenship? Is it because of Dirty December? Is it because y'all know in December we party till 8 in the morning? Is it the jollof? Is it the fufu? What exactly is it about Ghana that everybody wants to be here? Now, I'm gonna tell before I get into this, I'm gonna tell you my own personal Ghanaian story, not the whole story, but I'm gonna just tell you this, my opinion about Ghana. Everybody knows that Ghana is called the Gold Coast, right? Some of y'all gonna rock with me. After this, if you think I'm a genius, hold on. Let me put my Zelle in the chat right now. Let me put my Zelle number in the chat. I should have did that in the beginning. If anybody is appreciating this information, I just put my Zelle number in the chat. Shoot me some money so I could go buy me some fufu on you, right? Let me have some fufu or some banku on you. If anybody is appreciating this information, I just put my Zelle in the chat. Send me a Zelle. I'm about to just turn this whole thing to an infomercial. All right. Somebody shoot me a Zelle. If my phone don't ding, I ain't continuing. No, I'm joking, y'all. Okay, so 524 was such a big number. It was such an incredible number. It was just an amazing process. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. It was an amazing process. But a lot of people want citizenship in Ghana. But I also want everybody to know, Ghana does not have a streamlined, direct citizenship, that does not have a pathway to Ghana. I know I got a 202 number. I'm from DC. I'm an uptown boy. I'm in Ghana, but I'm still an uptown boy. Ghana does not have a direct pathway to citizenship. Please, my black people, I don't care who told you this. If you buy land in Ghana, that does not make you a citizen. If you came 2019 during the year of return, that does not make you eligible for citizenship. If you married a Ghanaian woman, you can get citizenship. If you won the fufu eating contest in your community, you cannot get citizenship. If you learn how to cook Ghanaian jollof, you cannot get citizenship. None of these things are prerequisites to Ghanaian citizenship. I told you I had somebody call me, yo, dog, I'm in Ghana. I'll be here for about 10, 14 days. Can I get my citizenship before I leave? Like, that's the way it's kind of being treated. And I want us to understand that there's a lot more work to be done so that we can have seamless direct pathways, but we don't have seamless direct pathways. Sierra Leone, when they announced theirs in 2021, I told them, you guys are the only one to have a direct pathway. But it's still not legislative. It's still not legislative. Burkina Faso, I don't believe it's legislative. And legislative is the key. I need everybody to hear me. It's not legislative. When we have a direct pathway to citizenship, it'll be legislative. There'll be a constitutional amendment somewhere. And it's going to require some back and forth. It's going to require some debates. It's not going to be easy because, again, the Negro conundrum. Can y'all still hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. All right. I'm trying to end for this Wi-Fi. I know it's cutting in and out. Audio choppy. How about now? I think I'm good. I'm still choppy. All right. All right. I'm gonna just talk to y'all until y'all tell me I'm good. We hear you. Thank you. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Can we go to the next slide? The sound is going in and out. Straight up conspiracy. C-O-N-spiracy. Can we go to the next slide? All right. So what I want to talk a little bit about Ghanaian citizenship. So all of the citizenship that has been awarded in Ghana has been by presidential decree or executive order since 2016. I need everybody to understand that clearly. That means that the president decides that they're going to give citizenship, and then they work with the Ministry of Interior and the judge that reads your oath in order to make it happen, and you become a citizen. You're just as valid. But what happens is you become a naturalized citizen, okay? So you become a naturalized citizen by presidential decree. And the only thing that means is that someone has removed the requirements that might normally require you to be a legal resident for 5 years. They might remove the original or the initial application. They might remove the requirement that you have 2 or 3 guarantors submit a letter on your behalf, and they're going to put a different process in place. That's all that means. So the last few citizenships have been done by presidential decree. His Excellency John Mahama, who's the current president of Ghana, and he wasn't for the past 8 years, he did it first in 2016. Prior to him leaving office, he gave citizenship to somewhere between 16 to 32 Africans of the diaspora who lived in Ghana based on this idea that I spoke about earlier called the right to return. He heard and he agreed, and they made it happen. And of course, there were champions involved in making it happen. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo awarded diaspora citizenship in 2019, in 2022, in 2024, and he did one more, snuck one in before he got out the door in 2025. This is how everybody in Ghana got citizenship, through presidential decree. Now, let me talk to you a little bit something about the process. It was very, very simple. One, it was managed by the Diaspora Affairs Office of the President in conjunction with the Ministry of Interior. Specifically in Ghana, they worked through the various diaspora organizations under the Diaspora Coalition. African American Association of Ghana, Caribbean Association of Ghana, Rastafari Institute, all of the various established diaspora associations in Ghana who had been lobbying, who had been advocating for years, and who have their own relationships with the Diaspora Affairs Office of the President, Ghana Tourism Authority, Beyond the Return, Year of the Return, lobbied and was in touch with the president's office about this. And the president decided that he wanted to do it again by the end of the year. Why? Because of the year of return. In 2019, when he first did it, there was all types of conversation. Should it be 400 people? Should it be 16, 19 people? But something has to make sense. Something has to give the year of return some teeth and make it real. Beyond us coming to party, beyond tourism, beyond the pillars that are even now in the beyond a return, what is going to make this year of return, this idea of returning real for the historical diaspora other than citizenship? That's how we did that. I'm inside of these rooms. The only reason why I didn't put the picture up with me in the president's office shaking his hand, number one, y'all probably seen it. Number two, I was like, I ain't gonna flex on him like that right now. And then number three, it's just like people don't believe. But it's people, we in the rooms. It's this all volunteer work, people. Let me just explain something. Ain't nobody got no financier, ain't nobody got no underwriter that's helping them make sure they can pay their bills and take care of their family while they doing this. This is all love for African people. And then you leverage and figure out how to make your way and do your business while you're doing this. So that's why my Zelle ain't zing yet. Y'all sleeping out there? Y'all shaking y'all head, just sending me thumbs up, talking about good job, brother. Don't good job, brother me. Send me a Zelle. Let me drop it one more time. Y'all out there faking like turkey bacon. All right. So this whole process is diaspora led. Thank you, African Deli, for the Zelle. my man, Ayatoro. He got his citizenship. Make sure y'all holler at africandeli.com. See, when I get the Zelle, you get the advertisement. Make sure you holler at africandeli.com, africandeli.com. He got the fresh shea butter coming out of the northern region in Ghana. He got djembes. He got drum bags. He got cowrie shells. He got the whole hookup. Make sure y'all holler at my brother Ayatoro for African Deli. See, if y'all sent me a Zelle, you could have got a free advertisement too. All right, here we go. You have to understand that we are in the time right now where the work is being done. I'll say it again. We are in the framework. We are in the time right now where the framework is being set. There is something that the Office of Diaspora Affairs did. They created a diaspora engagement policy. We've read through it. I'm not going to get into the solutions. We have the solution. I'm going to just tell you that. On the next call, I'm going to invite my sister, Dr. Ashley Milton. We've been working. I'm going to invite my sister on the call. We're going to talk to y'all together, and we're going to present the solution. When we get citizenship, then you will be able to get more Zelle. Right? We will be able to present the solution, but we working. We lifting as we climb. We persevering straight up and down. It's no solution. There's no way that this is working without physical people working together, fighting, disagreeing, making up, but all moving forward for the same motion, all moving forward for the same cause. It is important to note that the only legal pathway to citizenship in Ghana outside of presidential executive order is naturalization. So if you want to get citizenship in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Burkina Faso, or in any other African country, it requires you to be present. Right now, the only legal way is naturalization. That means that you got to be on the ground, most of them for at least 9 months out of the year. That means you have to meet several people from those countries who are willing to be your guarantor. They're willing to give you a letter. They're willing to submit bank statements. They're willing to give a copy of their passport and their ID on your behalf. And they're willing to bank their life on the fact that you are going to be good for the country. And then you got to do that for about 5 to 7 years straight. This is what naturalization is. This is what naturalization is. Now, I'm going to just tell you straight up and down. I'm going to keep it a buck with you because I told you I would. Everywhere Black people go, if you know somebody, it's going to be a little easier. Right? You could live in Atlanta, but if my man is the bouncer in the club, I'm getting in before you, 100%. I'm going to just keep it simple. Everything ain't got to be that difficult. It's the relationships. It's how. And another big part of this was presence. We did not get a list that says we start the process this day. By this day, it's going to end. By this day, you'll do biometrics. By this day, we'll do the program. There were people who wanted citizenship who had to fly to Ghana and stay and just wait. We still on GMT. We still on Ghana man time. Everything is ancestral. You think colored people's time is bad? African people's time is spiritually ancestral. Worse. Because they definitely don't move with the clock. They move with the spirit. African people's time is worse. So people had to be present. So if you're really serious about citizenship, number one, you got to put some money aside. Because when the next one comes and the call goes out, when the next one comes and the call goes out, the way to do it is to be present, is to be on ground. There were people, and I'm going to say it, who may have visited Ghana one time, but were here and got in the door. They were here. They were present. I know some of my bros, like, bruh, I ain't leaving. Stayed for 2 months. That's money they had to spend every day on a hotel. If they didn't have a crust in the corner or a place to sleep, they had to stay. They had to eat every day. They had to find something to do every day, but they stayed to get it done. So presence is important. Being on ground. actually being on ground is important, because when it happens fast. When it happens, my Zelle is dinging. Keep it coming, y'all. Thank y'all. When it happens fast. So for this particular process, what happened is, now, at the time that this happened, I was the president of the African American Association of Ghana. So I was directly connected to, not to mention, shouts out to Akwesi Ababio, former director of Diaspora Affairs, Office of the President. Shouts out to Nadia Finn, Deputy Director of Diaspora Affairs, Office of the President. These are my people, my family, our partners who made sure we got the information. These are the people who sent the information. These are the people who lobbied on our behalf. Shouts out to Mr. Akwesi Ajamin, CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority. Annabelle McKenzie, Director of the Beyond a Return. These are the people who are in the seats. I'm going to say shouts out to Salafa. Shouts out to Lucy. Shouts out to Nanaya. Shouts out to Marvin. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to Malcolm. These are the gatekeepers. These are the people doing the memos. These are the people running the envelopes, doing the staples. None of this happens without all their involvement. Shouts out to my sister Amma at the Office of Interior. Shouts out to Dominique at the Office of Interior. These are the people on the ground who worked long hours, who came in on the weekends, who put in the extra 4 hours a day to complete our applications. Because when you walked in the Ministry of Interior's office, you saw a stack of citizenship applications waiting, and hours got pushed to the front. I need people to understand that. Not only did hours get pushed to the front, but we were not required to submit anywhere near any of the requirements that a normal naturalized citizen would have to submit. We didn't have to do any of that. We didn't have to do any of that. With this particular process in Ghana, and it happened pretty much the same in 2019, 2022, 2024, and 2025. The first thing that happens is an interview. There's an interview that happens with Office of Diaspora Affairs, and there's an interview that happens with Ministry of Interior. It's a panel. It might be a panel of anywhere from 3 to 5 people, not a long interview. I had gotten my citizenship in 2022, so I didn't have to participate in 2024 or 2025, but I did sit in on a couple of interviews. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I kind of bogarted my way in the room, and I was like, this is my family. I'm sitting in on their interview. In 2019, I opted to personally not get citizenship. I said, I don't want it because there have been people here much longer than me waiting, and if you put my name on the list, you could potentially bump somebody else off. So I didn't do it in 2019, personally. But in 2022, I was like, shit, I ain't waiting no more. Y'all run it. Y'all better run my name on that list. I'm doing way too much work out here. I need that book. So in 2022, I got mine. So the question is, what are the next steps? What are we going to do? How to do it? So let me say this before we go to the next slide and before we end. When I put the truth about citizenship, what is the truth about citizenship? The truth about citizenship in Africa is that it's in flux, is that it's in the works, that it's a work in progress. That's the truth. The truth is that it's a work in progress, that it's not a perfect process. The truth is that it is not a perfect process. It's not going to be a perfect process. That's the truth. The truth is that it's going to take some time. The truth is that somebody's name going to get left off the list. Somebody ain't going to get it who was supposed to get it. Somebody's going to forget to get called. It's not a perfect process. The truth is that it's in flux. Another part of the truth is that the more of us who offer our assistance, the better. Because I can tell you right now, and I know y'all gonna think I'm crazy when I say this, if you don't already think I'm crazy. Or not crazy, but honest. 50% of the administrative and the logistical challenges that we have in Africa with regards to managing programs and resources can be solved with the proper use of Microsoft Excel. I know y'all think I'm crazy with that. But every one of these processes, how did I know? Because I was involved. I was in the office. The lists are being managed in Microsoft Word. You just can't do that. You can't search. You can't sort. You can't filter. You can't label. You can't track databases. Now we talk about database management. You can't do this kind of thing. For example, if I asked anybody in Ghana, how many people was on the list in 2019, who got it and who didn't? You should be able to just boop, 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 and pull it up. Search, find, got it. Send an email to all of the people. This is where we come in as the diaspora too, because administratively, y'all know good and well, when y'all attended them HBCUs, y'all had to have 1-inch margins. Y'all had to have a space and a half when y'all did that English Comp 1 paper. You had to learn how to do Excel. You had to learn how to do this. That's a part of what we bring. The education that we have is a part of the benefit that we bring. And we're going to make sure our name is on that list, and we're going to get it right. Y'all know why? Because we had to do that to get our financial aid, y'all. Y'all know y'all was in them financial aid lines in college, making sure you filled out them applications. How many of y'all did the HBCU Common App and applied to 30 colleges at the same time? I did. I did the Common App. And when you do the Common App, you got to learn this. Y'all did the FAFSA. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We all have these very basic experiences. Y'all like, how is he connecting FAFSA to citizenship? What I'm telling you is this. Half of the problems, shouts out to Mr. Kenneth Howard. That was my financial aid director at the University of the District of Columbia, who recently passed away. Mr. Ken Howard, if you went to UDC, if you know the name, you know Ken Howard. He just passed away. He made sure we got our financial aid, and he made sure we got our refund checks. Shouts out to Mr. Howard. So what I'm saying is a part of what we bring in the diaspora, a part of what we help do, and a part of our assistance is this, but also adding, but there's a way to do it. Like you can't walk into the government office like, y'all don't know what the hell y'all doing. Y'all need to let me do it. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to hear you. And then you got to be on ground. You got to be present. You got to understand protocol. All of these things help you get inside. You got to stop treating the gatekeepers or the secretaries bad because you feel like you above them and they the one that can delete your name off the list. They the ones that can delete your name off the list. So what I'm saying is it's not a perfect process, but it's happening. It's happening, y'all. We just saw 524 Black people get citizenship because they Black. When has that happened? When has that ever happened? Almost 600 people. In Ghana alone, since 2019, it's been close to 1,000 people that's gotten citizenship. 1,000. Sierra Leone, I'm sure, is busting 500 over the past 3 years. I'm sure that number is busting 500. With African ancestry, we did over 150 by ourselves, plus all of the other travel and tour companies. I'm sure that number is close to 500. Now, for those of us who got our citizenship, it's important that we continue to do the work. It's important that we also document the things that we are doing. Everybody who got citizenship with us in Sierra Leone, you're going to get a survey from me soon. We have to document. We have to show the value of the diaspora too, because eventually, and I'm going to say this, in Ghana specifically, we're going to need to give a state of the diaspora report. We're going to have a state of the diaspora report. This is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is the percentage of the GDP that the diaspora is bringing to Ghana, even if it's 0.05. The fact that we can calculate it means something. This is how many schools we've built. This is how many people we've put through school. This is how many jobs that we've provided. We're going to have to do that because we still got to play the game. We can't just keep saying transatlantic slave trade and let that be it. Like, it's 2025. We got Wi-Fi. You can FaceTime somebody. I'm not trying to minimize the transatlantic slave trade, but I'm saying we now have to start adding value. And we have to look at it some ways like a business. We have to be able to say, this is who we are. The associations that are on the ground are responsible for doing that. The leadership of those associations are responsible for having the foresight to do that. You're going to have to pack your patience. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be patient because the process is not perfect, y'all. But it's happening. It's happening. We are in 2025. 2025 is the last year of the first quarter of this century. It's the last year of the first quarter of this century, 2025. So if 2025 is the last year of the first quarter of this century, what I would like for you all to do is look up 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s, and you tell me, any students of history, what happened in the first 25 years of each of those. I could tell you right now, from 1900 to 1925, you have all of the Black Greek organizations. You have Black people would not make it in America without 1900 to 1925. If 1900 to 1925 looked any different, we'd have a lot of challenges. That set us straight for the next 75 years. Everything started. Everything started there. Look at 1800. What happened? Look at 1700. Look at 1600. I'm just telling you. So while we don't see the progress that we want, we need to understand that it's happening. It's real. And the more of us that come here, the more of us that continue to share, the more of us that continue to build, the more of us that continue to support those of us who are here on the ground, the more of us that join the various associations, those of us who continue to support that on the ground will see it become easier. We'll see the process become easier. Dr. Dupree Chase, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. It will continue to make it easier for us to make it simple for everybody else that's coming. Okay, next steps. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's my good friend, Dr. Gina Page, and I just want to give her a shout out because one of the common themes, and I had to make sure Gina got her citizenship. I'm like, you getting it. Whether you want it or not, you getting it. And let somebody, yeah, I bust her to the front of the line. She deserved it. Come on, G. Come get this. So one of the common threads that we've seen, I am on the ground, I am in the meetings, and I'm helping to lead this effort for citizenship with a number of African countries that we're in different conversations with. One of the common threads is AfricanAncestry.com. And it's not because we're pushing it, it's because people are doing their research. People understand it's a Black-owned company. People understand that they don't sell or trade your DNA. People also understand that we have the largest database size and we're the only company that can tell you modern day country and modern day ethnic group. And people are recognizing how that specificity makes sense. Nigeria wants to give citizenship to their Nigerian descendants. This is why I don't support the blind right to return. I don't think we have the right to tell any African country that you got to give me citizenship. Black people want Africa to be free and independent, except for when it comes to us. I want you to do what makes sense for you, except for when it comes to giving me citizenship and supporting me. And we can't want that. We got to want African countries to really control their own destiny. But until we can continue to collect data, until we can get more African countries on board, then we'll be able to help African countries see the importance of making it legislative. It might take another 20, 25 years. But at some point, we're going to see every African country open up and have a direct pathway to citizenship. We're going to see that. So next steps, let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Okay, My suggestion is if you haven't taken your African ancestry test, go to African Ancestry. Go to www.africanancestry.com. Take your test. Now, I know it sounds like a commercial in the ad because when I got to next steps, I said, what am I going to tell everybody their next steps? So, one, I'm just telling you that whatever your ancestry result is, at some point it's going to come down the line, and African ancestry is going to help you get citizenship. I'm just telling you that. You saw Sierra Leone, particularly Ghana was not interested in using DNA because of Ghana's nature of being a Pan-African state, right? Nigeria is interested. We know that Gabon has given away citizenship to several people, including Samuel L. Jackson, who's traced his ancestry there. Cameroon would love to do it, but it's unconstitutional. Senegal's going to get on board. Guinea's going to get on board. I'm just telling you. Liberia's going to get, all of these places going to get on board eventually. And that's whether or not it's by DNA or not. But I guarantee you, having your AfricanAncestry.com test, even if it's not required, is going to support and help your application. So I wanted to drop that. Next slide. If you have registered for this Zoom, you went to meetmeinafrica.com. But what I want you to do is go to meetmeinafrica.com and at the bottom, join our email list because we're going to be sending out emails. And that's how you will know. That's how we'll notify you. I'm gonna get with these Zoom people because I done paid for, Zoom charge you for webinar. They charge you when you want to boost your room capacity up. I done paid it and they wouldn't allow us to do it. So we're gonna get that straight. But we're gonna put this on YouTube and we're gonna put this also on Facebook and we're gonna share it with everybody for their email. Mama Maisha, you could take the let's go to the next slide. Is it anything left? I think that's it. You could take it down. You could take the share off. So it's too many of us to do questions. I want to thank y'all for sticking along. I think y'all stayed on. It's 100 of y'all. Y'all stayed on the entire time. At the end of the day, what I want you to realize is this. A couple of takeaways that I want you guys to take away. Number one, the age of the diasporan. We are at the age of the diasporan. Some of us are being driven out of America. Some of us have been looking for a reason to leave. We've just been looking for the right reason, right? Some of us been trying to figure out how to get out or just like one more. I had people before this election was like, depending on the way this election goes, I got people showing up to invest in property. My phone is ringing off the hook. I'm just telling you. The beautiful thing about this is we now see that Africa is a real live option. It is an option. Some of us, it's hard, but it's an option. And people are beginning to see that, there is an option. And I'm not just talking about because of Trump. I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on Orange Dude, and we got to recognize that the chair of the American presidency, the chair of the Oval Office is the problem, not the person in the chair. I don't know not one good American president. I mean, I was happy. Obama, he was black, and Jeezy made that song, My President is Black, My Lambo's Blue. It gave us something to turn up to in the club. But I don't know one good president for black people. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't seen one. I ain't seen one president step up and say, Bill Clinton did the saxophone, He did a black move. He got some top in the. That's only something a black dude to do. You're gonna get some top in the Oval Office. You can't do that, Bill. We ain't had no good president for black people. Ain't been one. Orange Dude, all he doing is just telling you to your face what everybody else did behind your back, literally. So don't trip too much. Don't trip too much. Now, let me also say this. I also agree and understand that we don't have to retreat from America, and America is ours too because we built it. Like, I agree and I understand that too. Some of us got to stay there and some of us need to come here. Like Marcus Garvey said, some of us don't need to come here. Some of us need to stay there and build up and do what we do there. Some of us ain't gonna make it here. It's not for everybody. It's gonna be a problem. You got lights out. Sometimes you got water. It's developing. It's getting there. And the point of Africa is not to become another America. Please don't come here and try to make it another America. Like that is not, don't make it another America. That, most of us define development by America. Like development means it works like America. And that's not what it is. That's absolutely not what it is. I want you all to make sure that you leave your email address on www.meetmeinafrica.com. I mentioned we have a solution. We're going to host another one of these where we present what we understand the solution to be. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We're time travelers, so we're going to be ahead of time. You would not have heard anybody else talk about this in the way that we're going to talk about what the ultimate solution is that may take about 15 to 20 years for the African governments to understand and get it. But what I will tell you is this, and I want you to understand this. The African Union, and I'm not going to say nothing about them. I'm trying not to. The African Union has asked every African nation to complete a diaspora engagement plan. Remember, we want this citizenship to become legislative in every African country. It's going to come with the diaspora engagement. It's got to start there. That's where it's going to start. So a lot of the work that we're doing in Ghana on the ground now will help to lead to support those plans, how we can edit it, and et cetera. You're getting an error message. Okay, if you're on this Zoom, then that means I have your email address because that means you registered or you received the email. But I'm going to make sure that that everybody who registered for this Zoom, you get the recording and that you understand it. So I'm not going to keep you all too long. We started a little late at 7:30 because of the Wi-Fi challenges. We've been on for an hour and a half. I want to thank everybody for staying on. And again, really quick, these are the takeaways. Citizenship is in process. It's happening. It's working. It's not a perfect process. The countries that we know right now are giving citizenship is Ghana, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, you go through ADDI, you take your African ancestry test, and you can do it. Sierra Leone is now about to release their new citizenship requirements. When they release it, we're going to share it with you all. One of the things that I can tell you the most about citizenship, about getting citizenship in an African country, is being present, like physically having to be here. And it's not easy. There's a sacrifice that's going to have to come from somewhere if it's something you really want, right? Until the process gets better. All of you have made the first step by joining this call because you wanted to hear something. So what I wanted to let you know is the truth about it is that yes, it's happening. No, it's not that simple. It's in flux. The process is not perfect, but it works. That's the truth about citizenship in Africa. But no, you can't eat jollof and get citizenship. You can't buy land and get citizenship. You can't eat fufu and get citizenship. You can't just show up and get citizenship. The last thing that I'll say is earlier I saw somebody ask a question about marriage or our continental diasporans. So I need you guys to understand something. I know second and third generation Ghanaians who are having a hard time getting their citizenship. So it ain't personal. So when I tell you the process is not perfect, it's not perfect. That means that your mother or father was from Ghana, or your grandmother or grandfather was born in Ghana. You were born outside maybe because your parents left a brochure. Your parents went abroad in order to go to school or make a better life for you or something like that. And now you're coming back and you're trying to get citizenship. And it's very difficult for them too, because it's not personal. The systems are broken. The systems need some repair. The systems need help. And we're the new diaspora kid on the block, technically, and we're coming in and we want the system to be perfect. It ain't going to be perfect. It's absolutely not going to be perfect. It's going to take some time, but it's working. It's in process. Make sure you're patient. And as soon as the next wave of citizenship happens in Ghana, I'll send that information out and say, hey, this is my suggestions for what you should do. And maybe I'll be a little bit more closely involved from the presidential side in the new government. We never know. We never know what may happen, right? In terms of working with them in that way. I want to thank y'all for joining because y'all waited 30 minutes. It took me that long to figure out the technical difficulties and to get on the Zoom. I'm always going to keep it a buck with you. Shouts out to Maisha Hyman, my wife behind the scenes. Shouts out to Cassandra behind the scenes. Shouts out to Denisha behind the scenes. Shouts out to my mama. Shouts out to my granddaughter, AC. And thank all y'all for joining. We are going to post this on Facebook. We are going to post it on YouTube. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and this presentation made your expectation. Peace.